For a long time, there was an undisputed king in astronomy. Its name was TON 618. It was a supermassive black hole that terrified us with its scale. We drew diagrams, compared it to the solar system, and told ourselves that this was the limit. We were sure that physics simply did not allow for the creation of anything more monstrous. We thought we had looked into the deepest abyss the universe could offer. But we were wrong. The universe laughed at our arrogance and our pathetic attempts to set boundaries on what is possible. Recently, astronomers looked into X-ray telescope data and discovered an object that turns TON 618 into a dwarf. They found a structure so huge that they had to invent a new classification for it. Scientists no longer call this a supermassive black hole. For monsters like this, a new, frightening term was introduced: SLAB, Stupendously Large Black Hole. This new god of chaos bears the name Phoenix A, and its mass is 100 billion solar masses. Think about that. 100 billion. This is a number that breaks the human mind. This is not just a hole in space. This is an object that exceeds entire galaxies in mass. Today, we will travel to the very heart of the Phoenix cluster to look into the eyes of this leviathan and understand why, according to all our past knowledge, it shouldn't exist at all. The Phoenix cluster. To understand the true nature of this monster, we first need to inspect its lair. Phoenix A does not hang in a void. It reigns in the center of one of the most impressive and active places in the entire cosmos, the Phoenix cluster. This is the most massive gravitationally bound structure we have ever found. It is a giant swarm of thousands of galaxies held together by the invisible grip of dark matter and the central monster. Usually, such giant clusters are quiet, old places. Galaxies there formed long ago. The stars in them are old and red, and new gas has almost run out. These are nursing homes on a universal scale. But the Phoenix cluster is an anomaly. This place is not just alive, it is boiling. Astronomers call this a starburst. Right now, as you listen to this text, new matter is being born in the center of this cluster at an incredible speed. For comparison, in our Milky Way galaxy, about one new star is born per year. In the Phoenix cluster, 740 new suns ignite every single year. This is the most powerful star factory in the known universe. And the reason for this frantic activity lies in the very center. All this chaos, all this birth and death revolves around Phoenix A. It is the heart of the system. But it is a black heart. Usually, black holes suppress the birth of stars. They eject powerful jets of plasma that heat the gas and prevent it from collapsing into stars. They sterilize their galaxies. But Phoenix A is so huge, and its gravity is so all-encompassing, that it works differently. It doesn't just devour matter. It controls the flows of cooling gas, pumping them through itself like a giant heart pumps blood through the veins of an organism. This monster has created an ecosystem around itself that depends entirely on its appetite. We look at a cluster full of light and young stars, but we must remember, this light exists only because there is darkness in the center that allows it to burn. And this darkness is preparing for its main entrance. The scale of the flows. This cluster is located at a distance of 5.7 billion light-years from us. This means we see it as it was in the deep past, when our universe was younger. But even across the abyss of time and space, the power of this place sends instruments off the scale. Imagine intergalactic gas. Usually, this is a very sparse, hot substance that glows in the X-ray range and behaves calmly. But in the Phoenix cluster, this gas behaves like water in a waterfall. Huge rivers of cooled gas flow toward the center of the cluster. This is the most powerful cooling flow we have ever observed. The mass of gas that falls into the center annually is equivalent to the mass of thousands of suns. And all of this falls onto the central galaxy of the cluster. It is a monster in itself. It is not a spiral familiar to us, like the Milky Way. It is a giant elliptical galaxy swollen to incredible sizes. If you looked at it through a telescope, you would see that it is surrounded by long blue filaments. This is not just light. These are stellar nurseries stretching for hundreds of thousands of light years. Something unnatural is happening in this galaxy. Usually, central galaxies in such clusters are dead, red, and boring places. But this galaxy shines with the piercing blue light of young, hot stars. It is like a zombie pumped with adrenaline. It should be dead, but it is living the most turbulent life in the universe. And all this fuel, all this gas, all these newborn stars, all of this is just a side dish. This is food being prepared for the one who sits in the deepest depths, hidden behind walls of light and dust. This entire cosmic metropolis exists only to feed one single inhabitant. Megalophobia. Now it is time to face the king himself. We have talked a lot about Ton 618. We are used to considering it the standard of gigantism. Its mass is 66 billion solar masses. This number seemed to us a limit, an absolute ceiling above which nature cannot jump. But Phoenix A shattered this ceiling without even noticing it. The mass of the black hole in the center of the Phoenix cluster is estimated at 100 billion solar masses. Try to hold this number in your head. 100 billion stars like ours, compressed into a single dark sphere. If you put Ton 618 next to Phoenix A, the former king would look like a younger brother, like a child who hasn't grown up yet. And our own supermassive black hole, Sagittarius A star, of which we are so proud, would become simply an invisible speck of dust, a quantum error against the background of Phoenix. For you to truly feel this paralyzing scale, let's conduct a thought experiment. Let's take Phoenix A and place it in the center of our solar system instead of the sun. What will happen? We won't just die. We will disappear inside it without even realizing what happened. The event horizon of this black hole, the boundary from beyond which light does not return, has a diameter of about 590 billion kilometers. This is a distance that is impossible to imagine. The orbit of Pluto, the most distant classical planet of our system, is only about 6 billion kilometers in radius. This means that Phoenix A would swallow the Sun, Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto. But it wouldn't stop there. It would swallow the entire Kuiper Belt. It would swallow the Voyager probes, which have been flying away from us for almost 50 years. Our entire solar system, from edge to edge, would drown in this black hole like a small coin sinking in a huge swimming pool. We wouldn't even touch the walls. We would be somewhere deep, hopelessly inside, closer to the center than to the exit. Light, the fastest entity in the universe, takes only 8 minutes to fly from the Sun to the Earth. To cross our solar system, light needs several hours, but to fly through the diameter of Phoenix A, a beam of light would need several weeks of continuous travel. Imagine a shadow so huge that light spends weeks just to cross it. But there is an even scarier comparison. Let's compare this single object not with planets, but with galaxies. The mass of all the stars in our Milky Way, all these hundreds of billions of luminaries that form our giant stellar disk, is estimated at about 60 billion solar masses. This means that this one black hole, this one dark sphere, weighs more than our entire galaxy if we remove dark matter from it. Phoenix A is heavier than the entire stellar city in which we live. It is an object of galactic scale, compressed into a sphere of absolute darkness. It is a gravitational anomaly that warps space so severely that near it, the geometry of the universe ceases to make sense. It is no longer just an astronomical object. It is a hole in reality into which an entire universe could fall. Impossible physics. But the scariest thing about Phoenix A isn't even its size, however monstrous it may be. The scariest thing is its very existence. According to our current models of cosmic evolution, this object should not have had time to grow to such a scale. It violates the laws of physical development. It is an error in the equation of the universe. The fact is that black holes have a limit on the speed of matter absorption. Astrophysicists call this the Eddington limit. A black hole cannot eat as much as it wants and as fast as it wants. When matter falls into a hole, it heats up and begins to glow. This radiation creates pressure that pushes away new, falling matter. It is a natural break. The hole sort of chokes if it tries to swallow too much. It burps out excess energy, slowing down its own growth. If we take an ordinary stellar mass black hole and feed it as fast as possible, at the Eddington limit, it would take trillions of years to grow to a mass of 100 billion suns. But our universe is only 13.8 billion years old. Phoenix A simply didn't have the time. It couldn't have gained this weight legally. This means Phoenix A is a criminal. It broke the fundamental limitations of nature. Scientists suggest that it used a different, much more terrifying method of growth. Most likely, it was not born from a dead star, like ordinary black holes. It is a descendant of the so-called direct collapse. In the early universe, giant clouds of primordial gas could collapse immediately into black holes, bypassing the star stage. They were born already huge, with a mass of millions of suns, but even that is not enough. To become the leviathan it is now, Phoenix A had to go through a series of catastrophic mergers. Imagine a cosmic battle of titans. In the center of the Phoenix cluster, there were once several supermassive black holes. They collided with each other. When two such holes merge, an event of such power occurs that it shakes the very fabric of space-time, sending gravitational waves through the entire universe. Phoenix A is the absolute winner in this game of survival. It is the last survivor who consumed all its competitors, devoured their bodies, and appropriated their mass. It is the sum of all the monsters that lived in this cluster before it. We look at it and realize that our physics textbooks are incomplete. There is a growth mechanism in space that allows such giants to be created, bypassing standard limitations. Phoenix A is proof that it is possible to create objects in the universe whose mass tends toward infinity, and we still do not know where the upper limit is. Perhaps there are holes even bigger, and they are simply waiting for us to find them. The event horizon. Now let's do something that is physically impossible, but which our imagination allows us to experience. Let's imagine that we decided to make the last journey of our lives and steered our ship straight into the black heart of Phoenix A. We are going to cross the event horizon, that invisible line from which there is no return. In science fiction and popular movies, falling into a black hole is always depicted as an instant and painful death. And for ordinary black holes, this is true. If you fly up to a hole with a mass of several suns, tidal forces will tear you into atoms before you even touch the horizon. The gravity at your feet will be so much stronger than the gravity at your head that you will turn into a long string of plasma. Scientists call this spaghettification. But Phoenix A is a monster of a different order, and the death it offers is much scarier because it is deceptively soft. This object is so huge that its event horizon is incredibly far from the central point of singularity. Tidal forces here are negligible. If you fall into Phoenix A, you won't feel pain. You won't be stretched. Your ship won't fall apart. You will simply fly through the darkness. The creepiest moment will come when you cross the event horizon. Do you know what you will see? Nothing. No wall of fire, no flash, no shaking. Your instruments will work normally. Your heart will beat steadily. You will look back and see stars, galaxies, the light of the distant universe. It will seem to you that you are still part of this world. But this is an illusion. The moment you cross the invisible line, you were already dead to the rest of the universe. You became a ghost. You can scream. You can send radio signals. You can turn the ship around and turn on the engines at full power, trying to fly back. But it is useless. The space inside the black hole is distorted so much that the direction back simply ceased to exist. All roads, all directions, all future options now lead to only one point, to the center. Due to the monstrous size of Phoenix A, your fall to the center will not take a fraction of a second, as in ordinary holes. It can last for weeks. Imagine this existential horror. You are alive. You have food, air, and water. You can read books or look out the window. But you are inside a grave the size of the solar system. You are flying through the void, knowing that every passing hour brings you closer to the point where physics goes crazy. You will see the patch of light behind you, that very window into the outer universe, gradually shrinking. Perhaps, due to time dilation, you will see the universe outside aging and dying in fast forward. You will become the last witness to the end of times, locked in the most secure dungeon of creation. And ahead, in the dark, the singularity awaits you. A point where space and time cease to exist, and where your journey will end with the complete destruction not only of your body, but also of the information that you ever existed. The era of black holes. But the story of Phoenix A does not end with the absorption of its native cluster or your hypothetical death inside its event horizon. This monster is playing a long game, and its game will last so long that the very concept of time will lose its familiar meaning to us. We live in an amazing but very short era, the era of stars. We are used to light, heat, chemistry, and energy. It seems to us that the universe has always been like this and always will be, full of shining galaxies. But cosmologists know the harsh, chilling truth. The era of stars is just a brief, momentary spark, a split-second flash in the infinitely long and dark life of the universe. Stars are not eternal. They run out of fuel. Trillions of years from now, the formation of new stars will cease completely, because there will simply be no free gas left in the universe. The last red dwarfs, sparingly using hydrogen, will burn out and go dark, turning into cooling black cinders. Galaxies will disintegrate, losing gravitational bonds, and stars will scatter into the void. The lights in the universe will be turned off forever, and then a new, longest, and darkest era in the history of creation will begin. The era of black holes. In this future, absolutely dark and cold universe, where the temperature drops almost to absolute zero, Phoenix A will become the absolute, undisputed king. When everything else, planets, stars, nebulae, turns into dust, ice, or disintegrates into elementary particles, it will remain. It will drift in an infinite, expanding void, keeping in its bottomless belly the memory of trillions of consumed stars and civilizations. It will become a giant, dark sarcophagus, a monument to all matter that has ever existed in its sector of space. It will be the only source of gravity within a radius of billions of light years. But even such gods of death are not immortal. Nature has a mechanism capable of destroying even them. The great physicist Stephen Hawking theoretically predicted that black holes are not absolutely black. Due to complex quantum mechanics processes at the event horizon, they emit energy. They evaporate. Slowly, painfully, one single particle at a time, they lose their mass, returning it back to the void. This process is incredibly slow. For an ordinary black hole, it takes an eternity. But for a leviathan like Phoenix A, the evaporation time is a number that our brain is simply unable to comprehend. For this monster with a mass of 100 billion suns to completely evaporate and disappear, it will take a number of years, called a googol. This is a 1 with 100 zeros. Try to imagine this scale. If every atom in our universe were a separate universe, and we counted all the atoms in all these universes, we wouldn't even come close to this number. This is a time compared to which the entire history of life, from the first bacteria to the last human, is not even a nanosecond. For all this unimaginable time, Phoenix A will slowly die in the dark. It will become smaller, losing mass, and at the very end of its life, when it becomes the size of an atom, the finale will occur. According to theory, the last moments of a black hole's life are an explosion. All remaining energy will burst out in one blinding flash of gamma radiation. This will be the last event in the history of our sector of the universe. The last firework. Phoenix A, the king of monsters, will disappear, leaving behind only a stream of photons. And after that, the universe will finally plunge into a state that physicists call heat death. This is a state of maximum entropy, a place where there is no energy, no matter, no time, and where never again, not in a billion, not in a trillion years, will anything happen. Beyond understanding. The existence of objects like Phoenix A poses questions to us for which we have no answers. We are used to thinking that we understand gravity. We wrote formulas, we built models. But when we see a hole with a mass of 100 billion suns that grew faster than time allowed, we understand that we are children playing in a sandbox. Phoenix A is not just a big black hole. It is an object that shows us the limit of our knowledge. It hints that processes took place in the early universe about which we have absolutely no idea. Perhaps these were collapses of giant clouds of dark matter. Perhaps these were holes into other dimensions. And the scariest part is, we don't know if Phoenix A is the limit. If we found a monster with a mass of 100 billion, what prevents a monster with a mass of 1 trillion suns from existing? Somewhere out there, deep in the zone of avoidance, behind walls of dust, titans may be hiding next to whom even Phoenix A would seem like a dwarf. We have only just begun to open our eyes in a dark room, and we are only just beginning to distinguish the silhouettes of the monsters standing around us. If this giant object made you feel uncomfortable, if you felt that cold cosmic horror from realizing the scale, then no, size is not the scariest thing yet. There are things in the universe that frighten not with their mass, but with their impossibility. There are structures so huge that light would not have enough time to fly through them. If you want to know about a wall in space 10 billion light-years long, the existence of which breaks the laws of physics, be sure to watch the video about the Hercules Corona Borealis Great Wall, which will appear on your screen right now. There we talk about objects that are bigger than the void itself. Click while your mind is still capable of perceiving these scales.